So a YouTuber named Adore TV made a leak on December 4th talking about the Ryzen 3000 series as well as the RX 3000 series. That's right, not the RX 600, the RX 3000 series. A lot of people thought that the GPUs and the CPUs were too good to be true, so he even made a response on December 12th where he focused mainly on the CPUs. Now today I'll be focusing as to why the CPUs are highly likely to be legit. So first off, Adore TV is the same guy who leaked us the RTX 20 series from NVIDIA. Now his information there wasn't 100% accurate, but nonetheless it was very similar to what came out when the 20 series came out from NVIDIA. Now another YouTuber called Cortex claims to have got a leak for the 3080 and 3070, as well as Hard OCP claims to have similar information to Adore TV, and WCCF Tech claims that there will be new AMD GPUs launching at CES now too. Usually with leaks, if the same or similar leaks arise again and again, there usually is some truth to them. See that? That's a GPU die. GPU die plus the VRAM and the PCB make the GPU. GPU die is what gives us the graphics performance. Now, the two first letters of the GPU die's name indicate what architecture it is using. So for GP is for Pascal and TU is for Turing. The numbers indicate what tier the card is. The lower the number, the higher the tier. So GP104 is a higher tier die than GP106 is. So with the launch of the GTX 1070, it came with a cut GP104 die, and with the launch of the RTX 2080, it came with a cut TU104 die. These cards are both using a class 104 die that is cut. In other words, the 1070's true successor is actually an RTX 2080. Now with the GTX 1060, it used a full GP106 die, and now the RTX 2070 is using a full TU106 die. So the die found in the 1060, the newer version of it, the TU106, is found in the 2070. So in other words, NVIDIA is moving down these cards a tier. The RX 480 and 580 used Polaris 10, and it competed very well against GP106, which was found in the GTX 1060. So AMD should be able to compete well against TU106. However, this time TU106 is found in the 2070. Now the next thing I want to talk about is very important, and that is the process node. A process node is basically what these GPUs are being built on, the transistors. Now, if you have a better process node, this gives you lower power consumption and higher performance. And these get better with time. On the GTX 10 series, NVIDIA used TSMC's 16nm FinFET process. With Turing in the 20 series, NVIDIA has used TSMC's 12nm process. 12nm is 10% faster than 16nm. So that shows you how good Turing is of an architecture. It has only a 10% advantage over Pascal from the process node, and the 2070 is roughly 50 to 60% more powerful than GTX 1060. So basically, the architecture itself is a 40 to 50% gain over Pascal, which is quite impressive. So we're going to do some calculations here, and we're going to call Polaris tied with the GTX 1060. So the 580 and the 1060 roughly, just say they're tied. AMD is far behind in the architecture of GPUs, and it is unlikely that NAVI itself as an architecture is more powerful than Turing is. But NAVI is believed to be on a 7nm process. In fact, this is probably confirmed by now. AMD is on a 7nm process by TSMC, and it is the HPC process, the high performance process. Polaris, when it first came out, was on the 14nm low power plus process, a process designed for low power. This process, however, is designed for high performance and low power. This process node gives AMD a roughly 28% advantage over 12nm found in NVIDIA's Turing. Now, this cuts the performance advantage the 2070 has over the 580 from 50 to 60% to now only 20 to 32%. Now, NVIDIA made a 40 to 50% improvement in their architecture. AMD can make a 22 to 32% gain in architecture for the rest of the performance gap. Unlike Vega, this architecture has a lot more R&D behind it, and is designed for gaming. Vega was designed for compute, whereas NAVI is designed for gaming. It is actually designed specifically around the PS5, in fact. So it makes sense that it would have a 20 to 30% gain in performance just from the architecture, since it is a gaming specific architecture. And it could use the gains, the raw performance gains, and transfer more of that power over to gaming. Vega was a very powerful card, but it wasn't designed for gaming. Okay, now, so we got the performance out of the way. You might be wondering why this card is so cheap. Like, an RTX 2070 is $500, and the 3080, which is about the same performance, is believed to cost only $250. Some sources say $300, but still that's very cheap in comparison. Now, the thing is that the 3080 is a lot smaller die than the 2070. When you make a GPU die, the costs associated with it is tied directly to how large the GPU die is. Because the GPU dies are being pulled from a wafer, and Nvidia and AMD get charged on the whole wafer. So if AMD can make more chips out of the wafer by making the chips smaller, it costs less to produce. But the GPU dies are smaller, so they're slower. Now in this case, Turing is twice as large as it should be, because half the die is taken up by RT and Tensor cores to give us ray tracing. Now as far as NAVI goes, there doesn't seem to be any ray tracing on it, or any Tensor cores, which dramatically reduces the die size it would take. So to wrap things up, what's actually happening is that Nvidia is getting their gains from 10% from their newer and improved 12 nanometer process, and 45% from architectural gains roughly. AMD on the other hand is getting 28 or 30 roughly percent gains from their newer 7 nanometer process, and 38% gains from the architecture. The reason why Turing costs so much is because RT cores take up half the die. If NAVI does not have RT cores, then expect it to be far cheaper to produce. Now you might be thinking, why would AMD even launch the RX 3080 so cheap? The thing is, if they launch the RX 30 at $250 or $300, Nvidia cannot counter with the 2060. The thing is, then they'll be able to beat the 2070, and Nvidia cannot lower the prices on those cards. If you like the video and would like to support the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. See you guys next time.